Regardless of where in the world you live, there's something fascinating about Britain's royal family. They're a reminder of a legacy that has lasted generations, persisting throughout centuries and culminating in what we see today. We see, too, how it's going to continue, and it's that massive legacy that captures the world's attention. For all the publicity that surrounds every moment of the lives of the royal family, there are some things we think we know, but absolutely don't. Hello and welcome to Royal Scandal. Please do well to like, subscribe, comment and turn on the notification bell so as not to miss out on any news updates. Number 1. The Queen forbid her sister to marry her first true love. The story is one that's been recently popularized in Netflix's drama The Crown, and it's the tale of a royal princess refused the right to marry a divorced heirman. According to the version popularly told, Princess Margaret fell in love with Captain Peter Townsend, pilot from the Battle of Britain and equerry to both King George VI and Elizabeth II. The problem was that he was divorced, and to marry him would have been a major scandal in the eyes of the royals and the Church of England. Elizabeth II is said to have put her foot down and forbid the marriage, not only not giving the permission required, as dictated by the Royal Marriages Act of 1772, but telling her that if she disobeyed, she would find herself in exile, no longer part of the family. The truth, though, is even more complicated. At the time, the Prime Minister was a man named Anthony Eden. He, too, had been divorced, and he amended the act so that Margaret's marriage to Townsend wouldn't remove her, or her children, from the line of succession at all. Elizabeth II agreed to the change, and Eden would write in at least one letter to his ministers that the Queen had no desire to keep her sister from what would make her truly happy. The official documents that would have allowed the marriage are in the National Archives, and they've been publicly accessible since 2004. It wasn't until 2009 that a letter from Margaret to Eden revealed her own doubts as to whether or not she truly loved him. In it, she tells Eden that she plans on deciding in the upcoming months whether or not she was going to marry Townsend, and it's a letter that makes it clear Margaret was the one who made the decision based on her own feelings, not based on threats of being ostracized from the royal family. Number 2. The Queen didn't need a passport because she was the Queen. It's true that Elizabeth II didn't need a passport or a driver's license, but not for the reason most people think. Most assume it's just because she was the Queen, and who's going to pull her over and ask for identification, or give her a ticket? There's another sort of reasoning behind her not needing either document, and it's that they're all issued in her name. A British passport reads, Her Britannic Majesty's Secretary of State requests and requires in the name of Her Majesty all those whom it may concern to allow the bearer to pass freely without let or hindrance and to afford the bearer such assistance and protection as may be necessary. Since she was the one giving her protection out to passport holders, it was completely redundant for her to have one for herself. That's why she was the only member of the royal family to get away with not having one. Everyone else needed her authority to travel. It's the same thing with the driver's license, they're issued under her authority, so she didn't need to give herself one. She technically gave herself authority all the time. Since she didn't have a license, she didn't need registration or tags on her car, either. Number 3. Her name isn't actually Kate Middleton. Even those that don't follow the royal family know that Prince William married Kate Middleton. The name is all over the internet and magazine covers as far as you can see, but her name actually isn't Kate Middleton. Not anymore, at least. There are a few different ways she should be referred to, and the mainstream media is stubbornly adhering to the one she had when we first met her. William invariably refers to her as Catherine, the same thing British media was encouraged to call her before their now famous royal wedding. That's more legitimate, and her official name really is Catherine, Princess of Wales, or simply, Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales. The Middleton part of her name was dropped completely when she was married, and there's still another incredibly wrong name she's occasionally called by. Any references to Princess Kate or even Princess Catherine are completely wrong, as the only real way for a woman to be a princess is to be born one. Marrying a prince doesn't give someone the right to be called a princess. What it does make her, though, is Princess William of Wales, and as weird as that sounds, it would be her only royal designation if she hadn't been made a Duchess of Cambridge. Number 4. The Queen opposed the marriage of Charles and Camilla. For years, the ongoing relationship between Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles was hugely scandalous, even more so given how beloved Princess Diana was. In 2005, Charles and Camilla were finally married in a small civil ceremony at Windsor's Guildhall. There were around 20,000 people gathered outside to watch them coming and going, but there was one guest that was suspiciously absent, the Queen. That gave rise to all kinds of stories about how she had committed the ultimate snub, and that clearly, she didn't approve of the marriage at all. But, like so many stories, there was much more going on behind the scenes. Firstly, the marriage couldn't have happened at all if the Queen hadn't approved of it in the first place, as required by the same Royal Marriages Act of 1772 that had dictated the circumstances of Princess Margaret's marriage. Camilla was officially given the title of Princess Consort, but even the BBC reported the Queen's decision to stay away might have something to do with either security concerns or her disapproval. According to royal officials, though, the real reason for the Queen's absence was her hesitancy to attend a civil marriage ceremony rather than a religious one. Her titles include Supreme Governor of the Church, and amid questions as to whether or not the marriage was even a legal one, the Queen reported she had opted to put duty before family and not attend. Rumors continued to circulate that she was not entirely at ease with the marriage, but that's a far cry from downright opposing it. Number 5. There's strict etiquette in place for meeting the family. Every so often, the media goes nuts over a perceived offense that happened when someone meeting a member of the royal family stepped over the line. The internet and media on both sides of the Atlantic was all over it when LeBron James put his arm around Kate Middleton in 2014, and First Lady Michelle Obama's hugging of the Queen was the stuff of shock. It seems like there's probably a strict set of rules in place for what people can do, can't do, and should do when they're meeting the royal family, but that's actually not the case at all. According to the British monarchy's official website, there's no obligatory codes of behavior when meeting the Queen or a member of the royal family, but many people wish to observe the traditional forms. It goes on to say that most people prefer to greet the family with a neck bow or curtsy, but a regular handshake is completely fine, too. In fact, even those non-rules can be said to apply only to British and Commonwealth citizens. For anyone else, they're not your royal family. The idea of a strict no-touching policy is so ingrained in the public consciousness that Buckingham Palace had to issue a statement saying that there was absolutely nothing wrong or offensive about Michelle Obama's gesture, that no offense was given, and there were no rules in place she had transgressed. According to Dr. Kate Williams, a historian at London's Royal Holloway, the whole idea dates back to the medieval belief in the godly nature of kings and queens. Today, though, the idea remains ingrained in the masses, but those close to the royal family suggest it's not as much of a concern of theirs, a shift that really became noticeable with the way Princess Diana related to people. Number 6. The Windsor name has historic roots. The Tudors, the Stuarts, and now the Windsors. It's a family name that has old and ancient roots, isn't it? The Windsor name was announced on July 18, 1917. Since Queen Victoria, the family had been of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, which is about as German-sounding as you could possibly get. At the time of the name change to Windsor, though, anti-German sentiment was so strong in Britain those who bore German names were often the victims of hate crimes. Newspapers were calling for the segregation or deportation of German, Austro-Hungarian and Turkish immigrants, and no one overlooked the German heritage of the royal family. King George V and his advisors not only changed the royal name to Windsor, but titles were changed and the Battenbergs became the Mountbattens. The name Windsor was chosen because of its very English roots, taken from Windsor Castle. As the oldest and largest of Britain's occupied castles, Windsor has been the family home of royal families for nearly 1,000 years. While the name itself has ancient roots, it's only been assigned to the royal family since the beginning of the 20th century. It was changed again in 1960, when Elizabeth II and Prince Philip decreed that their direct descendants would be known as Mountbatten-Windsor, while all those descended from George V were Windsors. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.